So this is my audio commentary, my second attempt at an audio commentary for episode 3. I recorded one, but I wasn't really happy with it, so I'm doing it again. I'm not going to give my "who the hell is this guy" thing again, because I already did that in the introduction episode. So, yeah. Anyway. So before, what I want to do is I've got it lined up on Disney Plus, episode 3 at the beginning of the Lucasfilm logo. So I seriously doubt. I've listened to a lot of audio commentaries and I'm a fan, so I seriously doubt anybody is going to do this. But humour me, because I might do it probably with myself sometime. Sounded. Anyway, so I've got it queued up on pause at the beginning of the Lucasfilm logo. And when I say, it's kind of inspired by Ryan Johnson's audio commentary on, I think that was The Brothers Bloom. He did one for SoundCloud and he was like, I'm going to line it up, Anyway, before that, I just wanted to say something about flashbacks. Episode 3 and episode 7 are entirely 16 years ago. I suppose flashback episodes. I don't really know. There aren't really any strict rules of flashback, except there are 2 types of flashback. There's probably more, but I want to talk about 2. There's only 2 in Star Wars, as far as I know. There's the flashback scene in Rogue One, where we see a younger, I forgot his name, Jyn Dad, the Death Star, at the party, and Jyn comes down and he says, go back to bed, and she sees Krennic, I think, sort of laughing and joking. That flashback scene is entirely just to catch the audience up with Krennic's been around a long time, she remembers this, etc., etc. Andor has similar such flashback scenes during, I think, mainly the first 3 episodes. We see Andor, Cassian as a child, how he became to be, let's say, adopted by his parents who found him. Again, those flashback scenes and those types of flashbacks are entirely to catch up the audience with, just to let you know a few important details about his childhood. The majority of flashbacks are kind of like that, I think, in sort of, I don't know, modern entertainment, like I'm an expert. But these 2 episodes, starting with episode 3, are completely different. Because these are about the perspective of the person telling the story. So some people maybe online were confused and thought it was a waste of an episode, or it was a waste of 2 episodes to do the show in this way, and commented that it would have been better if these scenes had been done in flashback. You can't do these scenes in flashback. It would have been impossible, because it's about memory and perspective. It's like when Kylo Ren says to Rey, did Luke tell you what happened the night I destroyed his temple? And we see 3 slightly different versions of it. Some people found that a little confusing as well. Because in one of them, Luke seems particularly vicious. But of course, that's Ben's memory, waking up from being asleep, 15 years of bitterness or whatever. Anyway, so that's what episode 3 and 7 are. Episode 7 primarily tells the story of the Jedi and Sol from their perspective, and episode 3 mainly Osha, but I'll reference episode 7 as we go along, and vice versa when I'm going to do episode 7 next. The reason I'm starting with these is because I want to sort of I want to record these commentaries kind of in time order, chronological or whatever you call it, because then when we get to episodes 1 to 4, 5, 6 and 8, the motivations will seem much clearer when we've looked at episodes 3 and 7 and examined the way people see things. So the way Sol saw Mother Coral coming out from behind the tree. It's purposely done in a way that looks frightening. So we're supposed to be frightened with Sol. He was frightened. Who's this scary looking woman coming from, behind the tree? I wouldn't say in the Acolyte nobody did anything wrong. That's not even close. But I've struggled to find the words to say this, but I think it's the first Star Wars story, project, film, series, the first Star Wars thing, as I like to call it, that I've ever related to pretty much every character. I think it's genius. And I don't use that word lightly. It is an overused word. And you're like, the Acolyte, cancelled, everyone hated it, if you think that. But I've seen it 15 times. So, hey, I don't mind being the Acolyte guy because I can back it up with why, which is why I'm doing this. So, we're going to look at episode 3, and I'm going to, when I say kind of now, I will unpause it, and we will roll into the Lucasfilm logo. I tell you what, I did that good. The mini tangent, the new Indiana Jones film, they did that really well. Because me being me for a long time in the run-up to it, I was thinking, how are they going to do the intro without the Paramount logo? Because I knew it wasn't primarily Paramount. And the first 4 have the mountain or the otter, whatever it is, beaver popping up. But they did that gate thing. I thought it had a meta thing about it being a gatekeeper as well. But anyway. Okay, so we're going to go into episode 3. Okay, scrap what I said. We're going from the beginning of not that it really matters, because, all the 2 people that might do this are going to be 3 seconds out. But there's a recap, and I'm obviously not going to talk through the recap of episode 1 and 2. So from the beginning of that I really like it, Star Wars Disney Plus intro with the robots. I always call them robots. I guess droid is the right word. But since I was a kid in England, we called them robots. But we're going from the beginning of that little montage. And so unpause it, and we're rolling with BB-8, C-3PO, Darth. I can't say them all. All the little fellas before the Star Wars logo. And they're probably not all fellas. So here we go, episode 3. Oh, for fuck's sake, this is where the Lucasfilm logo comes. Oh well. Told you I'm an amateur. Brandock. I thought Lucasfilm came before Star Wars logo, 16 years earlier. So again, this really is entirely from the memory / perspective of Osha and May, and I think that changes, but I'm not fully, I've only seen it 15 times. I don't know it that well. So here's Osha, and she looks a little sad. She's restless and she wants to get out. She likes being away from her coven here at this tree. She feels maybe isolated, even though she's very much part of something. And I think every character in this show has, I can't find the correct words to use, but like a light and a dark, like a reflection. Here's May, and she is the dark reflection of Osha. The mothers have a sort of light and dark. I mean, literally, one is white and one is black. Not racially. I mean, Coral has, and Coral is sort of that's funny. There's so many layers in here. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud. So Osha and May. Osha's like, I just like to be by myself sometimes. May is Team Witches. May says all of my... Later on, I think May says, something along the lines of, why would I want to leave here? This is everything I am. This is her whole life. This is her family. And we'll talk later about where we leave May at the end of this episode, cut into the beginning of episode 1, where she goes to find Indara, makes absolutely perfect sense. We'll look at all of the motivations of the characters and how they appear to change, and they do change, and we'll talk about how they change and why they change, and usually, always, it's because of new events. So we know that Mother Coral is nothing to be afraid of, but a onlooker, Jedi, Sol, isn't sure. And when we see it from his perspective, in episode 7, I really like the way Mother Coral does look frightening as she comes from behind that tree. And you could think, oh, she's coming to get them. So, Sol, nothing wrong. Nobody's done anything wrong yet in this episode. And it's not really a show about who's to blame. That's the opposite of what it is. It's more about... that's what I'm here to examine. So here are the girls, and again, their mothers, sort of reflection of each other. Can I have some, cookies or whatever it is? No. And then the good mother comes out. Yes. They disagree. The Mother Coral is more aggressive. Mother Anastasia is more, we think, quiet, reflective. She seems to be. They are two sides of this. Everyone, in some fashion in this show, is a reflection of the other. And the witches on Brandok are also a reflection of the Jedi. Now, with a lot of the main characters, it's easy to say pigeonhole that Osha good, May bad. Mother Anastasia good, Mother Coral bad, Jedi good, witches bad, because they are the archetypal, good and bad thing. But what Leslie does, and what Leslie I think has done, this is the only hint of romance, is that this sort of tender touch on the cheek here. People said lesbian space witches, well, yeah, she touched her cheek in a tender way, and we don't even know, Anyway, that's, it annoys me that people think that they boycotted and got this show cancelled because of what they think it is, and it isn't that. It's not woke, agenda, space lesbians. Anyway, so they all have an opposite, positive and negative reaction. And like I say, the archetypal things that it fits into is good and bad. But this show kind of tips it on its head. It says the witches aren't all bad and the Jedi aren't all good, and there's actually good and bad in everyone. I feel like I'm singing, we learn to live, learn to give each other. Anyway, Ebony and Ivory. So pull the cord, pull the thread, change everything. I think there's nothing that what this tribe of witches know as the thread, we know as the Force. But this doesn't in any way override the Force, reword the Force. This is different people in different cultures and religions have different words for God. The Force, let's say for argument's sake and for the purposes of this audio commentary, the Force is God. So we call it the Force. They call it the thread or a thread. Somebody else will call it something else. Somebody calls it Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha. I don't know. But they're all the same thing. The message of the Acolyte is there's no real difference. So between... I'm trying not to sort of get emotional as I sit here just talking into my phone. And I'm realising things about it now as I speak that I didn't realise I knew. I was aware of because I've just absorbed it. I've just soaked it up. Remember, this is also Mother Anastasia. We see their faces and they smile. When we see it from Sol's perspective, it looks sinister. It looks dangerous. People say Sol did nothing wrong. And again, we'll get to that in episode 7. I don't think he did much wrong. I think the worst thing that he did, which was having physical ramifications, which is killing Mother Anastasia, it was instinctual. He didn't plan. I don't think he thought, I'm going to kill her and have her daughter. The worst thing he did was lie about it, and I think he manipulated a couple of characters, but I don't even think he was aware that he was doing it. We all manipulate each other in some way, and we're often not aware that we're doing it. Anyway, I do hope this makes sense, but if it doesn't, you can, one person who listens, hey Harry, you're my feedback. So here's the two Mother Anastasia and Osha and May, and she's explaining the importance of ascension, and she's just telling them, trying to fill in the blank yourself, trying to get them to grow up or something. But even here you see on their faces that May, Osha wants out, and Osha wants out. I paused it there, and May doesn't. I think George has always had this like, oh yeah, me and George. George Lucas had this. It's most of Star Wars is about people helping, each other. Two groups of people on a planet have to come together to overcome a shared threat or, evil. 70% of Star Wars is that, and it's great. In the Clone Wars, there's a lot of that. The Jedi have to persuade the inhabitants of some world to... Anyway, and this goes so much further than that, in that it's saying we're all part of each other. We are... It's like... I feel like it's a beautiful extension of what George did. I feel like the original trilogy, we got the good guys and the bad guys, but then the obviously much more than that. But the prequels, George said, hey, what if the good guy becomes the bad guy? And that was, underrated and misunderstood and disliked and wrong Anakin and, all that stuff. But it was pretty groundbreaking from a story perspective. We always knew that there was a story about Anakin Skywalker, but George didn't get to tell it till the prequels. And now this is really a prequel to the prequels. But what this does is say, before we even get there, this says, hey, what if, yes, there can be good guys and bad guys, and yes, there can be, good guys become bad guys but this kind of, I'm struggling for words, but I feel like it's just a beautiful extension of that story, but it takes it so much further in that we're all good guys and bad guys. Like religion, and The Last Jedi touched on this as well. The Force is bigger than the Jedi. My favourite Luke quote, if the Jedi die, to say that if the Jedi die, the light dies, that is vanity, that's rubbish. And this, in a sense, shows that the Witches and the Jedi are just two sides of the same coin in a metaphorical sense. So now we have Ascension, and this is we don't really find out too much about it, except we know this is their Osha and May's coming of age ceremony, so kind of akin to a baptism or a bar mitzvah. I don't really know. I know about a baptism, I don't know about a bar mitzvah, because I grew up a Christian. But again, all of these ceremonies, bar mitzvah, being baptized, it's about dedicating our children to our family, our beliefs. And again, what I think this is saying is it doesn't matter what those beliefs are. I mean, it does. What I mean is, if they differ, as long as you are heartfelt, look here, like the two faces. Like Osha sort of looks like, yeah, I don't want to go through with this. And May's like, I've been waiting for this for 3 years or all my life. And also the way they do the vows. May's vow to, I can't remember the exact wording, or both of their vows, to continue to protect the coven and to, all of that stuff. Like, May in particular, she takes that vow and then all hell is let loose because of a series of events. But when we then see her going to kill Indara, she's following through on her pledge to the coven. That's like somebody who lives in a territory whose land has been, invaded. They're going to fight. That's what that is. And again, it's these huge themes that Star Wars has often dabbled with, but not in such a grand, extravagant way all at the same time. It's kind of saying, it's saying a lot. And a lot of Star Wars says a lot. And it's all very different. And some is more philosophical and more, dare I say, intellectual. I don't mean for clever people. I mean for more ideas to discuss with friends, whereas some things are more story orientated. Some things are more character sort of or based. I can't say that. Some things more philosophical. Some things more gritty, more dark. Rogue One Andor. And just at the most important moment of the ceremony, just as Mother Anastasia is about to, I don't know, lift up the whatever. Oh, the Jedi here. Now that is kind of a coincidence. Sorry, not a coincidence. I don't mean a coincidence. I mean, in a sense, it's bad timing. They do care about this. What might be happening to the girls and are they safe, but they don't really know that they're interrupting a very important, they think they're just, as Sol says at some point later, doing. Their intentions were good, and I think their intentions entering here are good. So the Jedi, their intentions are good, and the people that say the Jedi did nothing wrong, they're right from a certain point of view. Indara is the sort of shining light, really, the Jedi that doesn't make any questionable decisions, really, I think, apart from it's a little bit doubtful when she says, "We will tell them the truth." And we know what it means when the Jedi say, or we know what it can mean sometimes when Jedi talk about telling, we'll own up. Don't tell me you're going to own up from a certain point of view. All of Star Wars is also, as well as about people helping each other, people coming together, is about, even though the stories aren't always focused on it as this is, it's often about perspective. So the Witches feel threatened, I think, clearly when Indara tries to sort of call the girls, and this is where I think, and I don't think, Torben certainly hasn't done anything wrong yet, if he does anything wrong. But up to here, I think the Mother Anastasia attacks Torben because she knows that he is a Padawan, because that's how he was introduced, and she would know that a Padawan is a learner, and therefore he's going to be sort of easier to manipulate. That's why she goes for Torben. And who knows when Mother Coral is going for Kelnaka, maybe now, maybe later. That's awesome, but we'll get to that. I think if Sol does anything wrong, it's the way he oh, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt anyone with this. Oh, look at my big appendage. You can touch it if you want to. Go on. I mean, that's, I'm not saying it's sexual in any way. What I'm saying is he grooms her in a non-sexual way. He shows her his lightsaber. He says, maybe it's here, maybe it's later. I've got the sound down, but, there are children there. Oh, yeah, lots of children. It's great. He sells it to her. And that's when she makes it visible, Mother Anastasia, that she's, that's when she really feels attacked, is when he says, why don't you come and be a Jedi? She's like, hold on a minute. So her attacking Torben is a reflex to him trying to entice Osha away with romantic ideas about lightsabers and children Jedi or whatever. She's defensive, but she's not evil, and that's why he's back. People in this show do questionable things, evil things. People murder people, but we always understand the motives. That's quite unusual. We always understand why. I think Star Wars wasn't ready for this. Star Wars fans weren't ready for this, and they dropped it in the summer, and with little. I didn't see many, of the actors on chat shows. I don't know. But I think the main reason not enough people watched it is not because it's bad. It's because there's so much choice. It's the summer. Time Bandits is on Apple. There's probably, Rings of Power. They drop like 7 series a week on Slow Horses on Apple. There's never been as much content, infinite content, and people just hadn't got around to it yet. I know of a few people who were like, oh, I'm going to watch that, and after it had been cancelled, it took me, I didn't watch it until it had finished, because I can't do a week on week, but I've since made up for that and watched it. Like I say, this doesn't count because I'm not watching it, but this is the 16th time, I think. Yeah, that would be right. I usually count up to like 30, and then I'm kind of like maybe like 50-ish, and then after more than 100, I just say more than 100, and then people call me a liar and a Disney shill. Like, I'm a Star Wars shill, if shill means being positive about something. But anyway, so this is the mothers discussing, Osha and the Jedi and what they should do and how they should respond to this. Now, can you see, they would interpret this, some of the adults, as an invasion, right? The Jedi were not intending to invade their home. They are there. But, and again here, the Jedi are bad, the Jedi are good. Both can be true, depending on your point of view. Both are true because the Jedi can do bad things. The Jedi are not inherently good. If you believe the Jedi are inherently good, you're going to dislike this. You're going to dislike most new stuff because it clouds it. It's more interesting. It's more nuanced. People say, it's not nuanced. There's no layers. It's just rubbish. I say, it's quite complicated, There's quite a lot of layers. No, it's not complicated. You people always tell us it's complicated. It's really simple. It's just bad. Oh, right, I've seen it like 15, 16 times. Like, that's a Disney shill lie. That's a lie no one would. Anyway, I'm not here for that, am I? And again, May looks a little sort of at the sight of this ship. She doesn't want to do it. Whereas Osha's like, hey, this could be my way out of this place. At this point, although they are the same, whatever that means, they are also polar opposites and sort of remain that through the show, but by the end they've completely come full circle. And again, it's not really the kind of story that you take literally and say, well, would she really? It's more about how we are, where anything is possible in life. That's what this is about. It's not about, but would she really believe that and do that? And then it's like a painting. George said, and here's something I've not thought, so I love this scene where she sees Kelnaka, and I can't pronounce his name either, Jonas, right? He's incredible as Kelnaka, subtle. He's like, when he's lying on the floor and Endara's snapping him out of the headfuck thing, the way he plays that, disorientation, when all you've got is eyes, he does it really well, really well. And people just, anyway, he shows his sabre as well. Oh yeah, you come with us, you get one. Get a big sabre all for yourself. He takes her blood, which is really I don't know what the right word is, foreshadowing, whatever. This is like where the Jedi take Anakin's blood in The Phantom Menace, and if you watch this first, when you get to The Phantom Menace, it will be perfect. The Jedi Council in The Phantom Menace, walk young Anakin through this when they say that he won't be trained because he's too old. The Jedi Council initially say the girls or Osha would not be trained because she's too old. This is some poetry. This is, again, from the perspective of Osha, which at this point is sort of fairly entirely plus. Jedi are good, helpful, they help people, they, keep peace in the galaxy, they have cool swords. And May's like, everything I have is here, I don't want to leave here, I don't want to talk to these people. Who are these people coming into my home? Neither perspective is wrong. Osha's perspective there is fine and correct, and May's perspective there is also correct, yet they are the complete opposite of each other. That, to me, is very clever writing. Also, being that however it was received, this is the starting point until James Mangold's trilogy or whatever, but this is currently the starting point, and the way this sets up the Phantom Menace, the way this also nods to The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, it nods to all of the movies, some in, larger or less degree. It has, nods. I mean, these fanboys dismissed it before they'd really seen it, I think they'd like the Spaceballs nod, I think they'd like the Aliens nod. I think they'd like a lot of it if they gave it chance. Excuse me, I'm stone by name, stone by nature, and if you hit that bag, it does make you a little wheezy. So anyway, Sol is telling, this is possibly the most ironic line Sol gets to say, when Osha says, I want to be a Jedi. Sol says, you have to have the courage to tell the truth. And again, I believe that's true. He's not lying. It's ironic because he chooses not to tell the full truth later. But he's not lying. He's not done anything wrong. He believes that we should tell the truth. And there are always exceptions to the rule where maybe we shouldn't tell the truth. And that's just another of the layers that this is about. When should we tell the complete truth? Always. Only when it suits us. This show is... I used to be like a Sunday school teacher when I was really young. And, man, I used to do Bible studies when I was back a Christian. And you could take this episode and discuss the themes in it, and it's absolutely a treasure trove of glory, of philosophical debate, of what's more important. That's what this show is, right? That's what it is for adults, and for kids it's the cool story that they will watch over and over again. And I'm not in any way suggesting that my interpretation is more valid than anyone else's. That's just my interpretation as someone who is, again, it has a unique perspective that I've been watching Star Wars the way I watch Star Wars over and over and over again for not 50, but most of my life, Again, that doesn't mean I'm right, that doesn't mean I'm proclaiming myself to be correct. I'm saying this is an interpretation of the Acolyte, and I think it's quite an interesting one, or something like that. So, Mother Anastasia, I think, being, in stereotypical terms, the good mother, the one that chooses love. Mother Coral sort of gets May fired up and says, go on, fight, or whatever, get mad. Whereas Mother Anastasia chooses love. And again, that constant sort of mirror. We're all a mirror of each other. The people we belong to and the people we don't belong to. We're still a mirror of them. People that aren't the same colour as us. People that aren't, that have similar beliefs, but they're completely different. We're part of them. We're all part of each other. This is like... I could write a book on the Acolyte, and God, I hope I get to talk to someone about it one day, like on here, someone who was involved, or someone. I've never been as emotionally, spiritually, philosophically moved by Star Wars since The Last Jedi, but more so. And since The Last Jedi, never. The Last Jedi came along and I was like, oh, okay, it can be this good. And then everyone hated it. And I was like, what? This is the best Star Wars movie. Anyway, back to... We're with May, and it's May's perspective. And when we see episode 7, we'll see that... Sorry, Osha. We'll see that May has just been fired up by Mother Coral. Mother Coral said, get mad. She's gonna leave. So she's coming in here. And all Osha knows is she's come in all pissy, stolen a book, starts a fire, of course. And from Osha's perspective, that is true. And not from her perspective, that is true. But what is also true is that she was fired up by her mother, and the fire is an accident. Or at least she does that, and then it cuts away back to Osha. But in the episode 7, we see she then tries to put it out, oh, I didn't mean this to happen, and the fire escalates, and she didn't mean it to happen. So, yes, May started the fire. Nobody's really lying in this. Yes, May started a fire that destroyed the place. But she didn't mean to. The show is multifaceted in a way that no other Star Wars is, because you can flip between perspectives in an episode. So, I hope I was recording. I just realised I was holding my phone like a phone, as if I'm talking to someone on the phone. Anyway, within scenes you can remind yourself, this is true, but also this is true. There's not much Star Wars where most of what happens between two sort of certainly opposing parties, let's say, but you can relate to everything that's happening on all sides and nobody's wrong. That is fucking phenomenal. And I realise, as I say it, that I hope... share the shit out of this. People need to see this. In Osha's memory, the bridge just fell. And again, if you only look at it once and you see episode 7, we'll get to that in episode 7, Sol holds a bridge up for a ridiculous amount of time. But that's his memory. That's his... And in his memory, he's had 20 years to tell himself, you did all you could. So he thinks, I held that bridge up for ages. But here, look, that's it. There, it's gone. He was still running in. He may have been holding it up, but we're certainly not supposed to think he's been stood there holding that bridge for 12 seconds. But again, from May's perspective, it fell, but he caught her. But she has no recollection of the bridge thing. And that's why it's not in this episode. She doesn't know anything about that. And so everything that we see is true from a certain point of view. And you can say, well, this contradicts something else. But it's supposed to, because our memories contradict themselves. Somebody's recollection of events 20 years ago is going to be different to somebody else's. That's what this is about. It's not it's badly written because the bridge was held up for ages, and then in this one it didn't hold the bridge up at all. That's misunderstanding. That's the point. That's because to one person the bridge thing was not a thing, and to someone else it was his badge of courage, before he, because he's told himself he's racked with guilt about May dying. He thinks May died, and so he's kind of told himself, I did all I could. You should have seen that bridge, man. I had that shit up for ages. And people are right to say, why doesn't he just get the girls? And the answer is he didn't really have time to get either girl, because that was not real time. That was imagined through guilt and maybe PTSD. Now here, he lets, but I still don't think there's anything wrong. Sol's not done anything wrong. You know, the fact that his memory has become sort of enhanced by guilt is a natural part of life that we don't often talk about, and is certainly not in Star Wars every day. Here he lets Osha believe what she presumes. I would say now isn't the time to correct her, or now isn't the time for detail. And he feels such an emotional attachment to her. I'm not sure he's done anything wrong. Well, from the perspective of Osha, we're talking. Throughout this episode, what we've seen in this episode, and he says, and that's another pretty bad thing to say, but we say it to our kids when we want bad things to go away. You're never going to feel like this again, I promise. Like, that's not something you should say. Really, we can all hope that you'll never feel this way again. I promise that I hope that's true. But he didn't feel this way about May. His forced sensitivity towards who's alive and who's dead appear to be influenced by his attachment, and that too is a very deep concept. That's just one aspect of Sol's character. Anyway, the credits are on, so I guess I've finished this. I enjoyed it very much. I hope it's not a load of shit. And if it is, I hope it's funny. A little bit. I don't know. I got more and more stoned as I went through it. And that means I enjoyed it more and more as I went through it and became more and more animated. But, who knows? I'd love it if... I'm not doing this podcast to be a grifter or a YouTuber. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to make money. I'm not trying to be... I despise a lot of the Star Wars mentality on YouTube. And I always thought I had something to say. But I certainly don't have or would want to do videos like, sitting behind a desk with ATAT behind me on a shelf. Like, yeah, I get it. You're a fan. But this way I can just talk. And that's it. If anyone wants to listen, they can. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Eric and the other few people. And let me know.